Well, it's only 15 games into the season, Birdland, but how does tied for first place sound? Because at this hour, as we tape this post-game Sunday, after the Orioles beat the Giants 6-2, the Birds are tied for first. A week ago, they were 4 games behind the Yankees, and the Yankees have lost 6 of 7, and the Orioles have won 5 of 6. So Baltimore, Tampa, New York tied for first, 8 and 7's early, obviously, but you'd rather be that than last, right? Steve Melewski and Tim Barbalace with you. Another edition of Birdland Territory. We're missing our teammate Brad Brock, who turned 40 today, Tim. For me, that's still a kidlet, but for Brad, I'm sure that's a milestone birthday, and we're giving him time to celebrate with the family.
Yeah, he was saying he was having a get-together at his house. He was golfing in the morning, and he said, hey, I just want to relax and watch the Masters. So happy birthday to Brad Brock.
Well, let's talk about the Birds of Baltimore because, Tim, Friday night was a downer. The Orioles did not get the clutch hit. Pete Alonso was giving a major mea culpa of sorts after the game. He really took accountability for his poor start to the season. And I wrote on my Substack that sometimes accountability comes before production. And I don't know if in this case one led to two, but since Friday night, the Orioles scored 12 runs and won back-to-back games and got some big hits, including today from Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Pete Alonso with one of the big moments of this ball game with 2 outs, down 0-2 in the count, and he was able to hit that double down the line to score Gunnar Henderson and Taylor Ward. It was a big-time moment, and you could see all the guys in the dugout really get so excited for Pete because it has not been the start to Pete Alonso's Oriole career that he would hope for, that Orioles fans would hope for. And entering today, Steve, he was 2 for his last 31 with 12 strikeouts, 4 walks. Now, 3 straight games in which he's reached via walk, which is a good sign because Craig Albernaz was talking about that after the game on Friday, saying, hey, if you get on base 3 times, 4 times via walk, that's a win. We will take that. And earlier in the week, I was kind of looking up, Steve, where, okay, is Pete a slow starter? You look at his OPS in March and April last year, well over 1,100. His career OPS in March and April, 879. So you hope that big 2-run double. He also had another hit in this game, also had a walk. You hope that this can really get Pete Alonso going.
It was an interesting weekend for him. Early in the game, Friday night, he had a key at bat, second and third. He didn't come through. He actually stranded 3 runners in scoring position in the first 3 innings of that game. And there weren't boos at Camden Yards, but I would say there were some groans. And on social media, Tim, I was getting deluge from Oriole fans just barraging me as if I were in the lineup. But it was Pete who was struggling. And you cited some of the numbers. Before today, the Sunday game, he was 0 for 6 this series, 1 for 19 the last 5, 3 for 35 since the calendar turned to April. 3 hits in a month, Tim. We're almost halfway through. And so this was his first multi-hit game since the calendar turned to April. And I just think he showed leadership Friday night. He did what a star player should do. When you fall short of your expectations and the fans' expectations, you get in front of the cameras and you say, this isn't good enough. And that's exactly what he did. And furthermore, Tim, I thought it was big, and Albernaz would tell us Saturday. After that, Albernaz called him into the office, and they talked at length. And that's when Albernaz said what you said. If you go 0 for 0 with 4 walks tonight, that's great. Pete, you're expanding the zone a little bit. Just get back in the strike zone, and the hits will come. And by no means is he locked in yet. One game doesn't show us that at all. But it was such a big hit that maybe that turns the tide.
You certainly hope so. And everyone's trying to pinpoint what is off about Pete to start this year. And one number on StatCast that's really stood out, Steve, is his bat speed. It's 2.5 miles per hour slower year over year. And Craig Albernaz was asked about that, and he said exactly what you said. He just thinks that Pete is expanding the zone too much. And when you're chasing, of course, it's going to slow down your bat. But you mentioned the leadership, and we've talked about it a lot just in the first couple of episodes of Birdland Territory of what Pete Alonso brings, not just on the field, Steve, but off the field and what he does in the clubhouse. And I always reference that moment against the Netherlands, him calling a mound visit when Trevor Rogers was starting that game because he thought the defense was just very, very sloppy. Pete, he did have a couple issues in the field over the weekend, but all in all, he's been better than advertised at first base so far this year.
Yeah.
His offensive slump hasn't necessarily affected his defense, which is a good sign. But now you're hoping the bat can get going. And it's not just the power, Steve. We know this guy can hit over 40 home runs, but he scores runs. He drives in runs. He had over 100 RBIs last year.
And Tim, Saturday night, I was at the ballpark and looked at the monitor a couple times to get a close-up look at his at-bats. He swung and missed at some middle pitches Saturday night. Pitches he's going to hit 420 feet as the summer goes on. So again, by no means is he locked in, but today was better. And ironically, the 2-run double came on not only an 0-2 pitch, but it was below the zone. He could have not swung, taken it would be 1-2. Or he could have chased it and missed, which maybe Pete would have done a couple nights ago. He went down and got that ball. That was a good piece of hitting. He hit a pitcher's pitch to drive in 2 big runs.
Yeah, it was an absolutely monstrous moment. And you could just see what it meant for the rest of the guys in the dugout, just going nuts for Pete coming through in that moment. But I think this is just, you need to take a breath. And I remember talked to Buck Showalter the day that Pete Alonso signed here, and Buck said so many glowing things about Pete when he called me prior to even coming on the station, and said the exact same things afterwards. The one concern that Buck had, and this is a concern for anybody, when you sign a contract of that magnitude, 5 years, $155 million, that's the second biggest contract given out in Orioles history. Do you try a little too hard at times to show your worth of that contract? I'm not saying that that's necessarily happened for Pete, but I think it is fair to say that while he's off to this slow start, there is some pressing. And he was very open about that Friday, saying, yeah, I could tell you that it's a long season, but this is a disappointing start for Pete Alonso. And now he comes through in a big moment today, and you hope that it starts to carry.
One last thing on Pete, and we'll get on to some other topics because there's some really good ones from today's game, Tim. You mentioned the bat speed that is down a little bit. I thought Albernaz explained that well. He did not make an excuse for that on Saturday, but he explained when you stay in the zone and you barrel balls, that's when you get exit velocity and bat speed. When the pitch is a little out of the zone, you're feeling for it and you don't get off your A swing, and the bat speed goes down. To me, that made perfect sense, Tim, for what's been happening to Pete Alonso. And I'll take it a step further. At the beginning of today, the Orioles leader this year in exit velocity was Pete Alonso. Hitting the ball harder than Gunnar, hitting the ball harder on average than Basayo, all of them. The Orioles leader in hard hit percentage, the percentage of balls you put in play, 95 plus, was Pete Alonso. So what I'm saying, if the process had some issues, and maybe it did, bat speed, chasing, etc., the results were starting to show before we see it in average and RBIs and other things. We're going to see it.
Totally, Steve. And I think that was a number that Orioles fans should have confidence in, the fact that heading into today, I believe Pete was still top 5 in baseball. Steve, top 5 in baseball in terms of average exit velocity, right. 94.3 miles per hour. So he's almost averaging a hard hit ball. It's just been the strikeouts. It's been the swing and miss where he's striking out at a 31% clip, which that just isn't good enough. And we've seen at times, especially for this ball club, where you're striking out, and it's the moments where you're striking out too, because sometimes you just put the ball in play and good things happen. And Kobe Mayo today, he just blooped it right into center field, ended up scoring a run. It doesn't have to always be a hard hit ball, but if you put the ball in play, you give yourself a chance.
You do. So, Tim, here's a stat again heading into today. In the first 2 innings this year, opponents 21 runs, the Orioles 5. 21-5 in the first 2 innings. They were getting bombed. Today, 2-0 Baltimore because of one big swing by the kid, Samuel Basayo. We saw today what he can do. Well, scouts will tell you, Tim, when you hit oppo power like he did to left center with such an easy swing, that's big time power. Most players, even the smaller guys, can turn on one and hit it out pull side. What he did today, that was a big time swing. That's why I got that money.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And the raw power that he has as a 21-year-old kid really is something to marvel. Now, with Sam and with a lot of young guys, we talk about expanding the zone, like with Pete Alonso. It seems like that has been the case for Sam at times, the whiff rate and just getting under pitches. But if he gets a hold of one, it's going to go a long, long way. And that was his second homer of the season. And I remember the first homer, Craig Albertaz, after the game, marveling about it. It hit the batter's eye in center field. He just couldn't believe that Sam got it all the way out there. So there were a lot of good things to see offensively for this team in this series. Sam Basayo being one of them, Steve. But how about the bottom third of the lineup the past couple of days? They're 9 for 23, and what they driving 7-8 runs as well. I have it in my notes. I think that is huge too. Colton Cowser, we know the first week was solid for him, really struggled this past week, but back-to-back days in which, he's had some nice moments driving in runs.
No doubt. Brian Roberts, I thought, made a good point on the telecast today about Basayo. An inadvertent benefit from Adley going to the IL, and we'll get into the injuries, which are mounting for the Orioles. Maybe now at being out there every night, catching a little more than they had planned for him to, will get him in some rhythm, both offensively and defensively. It looked like today he was just very relaxed and comfortable out there.
Sure. Consistent play time is so big, Steve, and we've seen for various different reasons at different points when Topo's prospects have gotten brought up initially. Maybe they're not getting the consistent run that fans would hope for, that we all would hope for. And I think that can sometimes affect a young player's consistency, because if you're not getting the consistent reps, whether that's behind the plate, whether that's in the batter's box, it just makes it that much tougher for you to get on a roll.
So the Orioles win 6-2. They take 2 out of 3. They have now won 3 out of 5 series, 3-2 in series, 5-1 in their last 6, 8-7 overall, tied atop the division. 3-way tie as we speak to you tonight with the Yankees and the Rays. The Orioles are 2-0 in rubber match games. They were very poor in that stat last year, so that's an early encouraging sign. And Tim, we've been talking almost half the show. We need to get into Cade Povich, whether he was slim today, lefty, Cade, whatever you want to call him. He was outstanding. The Orioles finally have a quality start from someone not named Trevor Rogers. That was pitching today. Tim, that's better than I think we saw him at any point last year.
I completely agree. And he had 17 whiffs in this ball game, and he was so pitch efficient, Steve. When we were doing the show, what was it, last Sunday, where he came in relief of Chris Bassett, really helped save the bullpen there. He went 5 2/3 today, pitched into the 7th inning. I was very, very impressed with Cade Povich. Had a really nasty strikeout of Encarnacion with the curveball. Heck, he had strikeouts with multiple of his pitches. You saw the rising fastball at times as well, but so pitch efficient. And when Cade Povich has gotten into trouble in the past, it's been kind of nibbling. It's been not having sharp command, walking too many batters. But now, Steve, the other thing that's really impressive, where he has traditionally gotten into the most trouble, is each time batters have faced him, you can see the OPS rise significantly, where back-to-back times he's been able to give this team length.
Yeah, he was good throughout today. A second and third time through, the batters really weren't getting very good swings on him. I mean, Tim, it was a typical crafty lefty. He's only throwing 91, 92.
No, yeah.
He's not throwing the ball high by anybody, but Albertaz would say post-game, great movement on the fastball, and he just had everything. He could pitch backwards to a hitter. He could, start him off fastball. The curveball had some big movement on it today. Cutter, changeup. I mean, he had it all going. He has come up big now twice for this team.
His curveball is a hammer. It is a weapon if it's on. And today, Steve, 7 whiffs on 15 swings on that curveball. So you're talking almost a 50% whiff rate there for Cade Povich, and was able to get ahead of batters for the most part, not pitching from behind. Got first pitch strike in 15 of 24 batters that he faced. But now, Steve, I think the question with Cade is, what happens? And they still don't have a starter listed for tomorrow. Dean Kramer would be on turn, so that they do have that in their up their sleeve if they want it. But with how Cade Povich is pitching right now, Steve, I think it's tough to send him down.
I think it is. If he had been mediocre, an obvious move would be Kramer for Povich because
Yeah.
Cade can't go again till his next turn. But however it works out, he has left an indelible mark with Alvarez and the staff that this guy, if we need him, he can be reliable. So if he goes down, it will be through no fault of his own, simply a matter of they need to get Kramer on there somehow. But Tim, this is a good problem to have a long run, to know that you already lost one starter and you've made up for him so far. Again, it's early. And as Alvarez again said post-game, we got these kids at AAA too. So you and I have talked with Brad on this show about the depth from AAA to the majors. You're going to need a lot of it over 6 months of baseball.
Steve, if any team knows it, the Orioles know it, coming off last year where they went through so many pitchers, so many players in general. It's a very good problem to have. And also give credit to Brandon Young again, because Orioles lost 5 of 6, and then Young started on Monday, and that started winning 5 of 6 games. They're going to call upon Cade Povich at some point, whether that's by injury or also, Steve, this team, there was a lot of talk about using a 6-man rotation heading into the year. Obviously, that was factoring in Zach Eflin, who is done for the season. It wouldn't surprise me if at some points of this year that maybe you see Cade Povich come up and they run with the 6-man rotation for a little bit, just to give some guys extra breathers. The Kyle Bradish innings restriction, that's a factor as well that they're going to have to balance.
It's funny, Tim, when we get to October and hopefully the Orioles are still playing, it could be that the difference for the playoffs was 2 or 3 games, 2 or 3 wins.
Sure.
And then we'll never really probably even remember 2 big outings by Cade Povich in April, but they were 2 big outings. And as people have pointed out with the Orioles right now, while they're not functioning on all cylinders, they've had a ton of injuries. They've lost 2 infielders. Now they lost Adley. They lost Eflin. They're tied for first. They're doing things right, even, Tim, when I don't think any of us feel, including the players and the fans, they're playing full go right now.
I think that's definitely the most encouraging part of this 8-7 start, Steve, is the fact that they really haven't fired on all cylinders. And there's been times where, the bullpen has had issues. The defense has had issues. We know that the offense has struggled. They haven't really been able to put it all together. And we talk about Pete Alonso and his slow start to the season. And there's plenty of guys that you can mention that with. But for them to weather this storm, and you can look across the American League, Steve, there's not a ton of clubs with winning records right now. I know it's early, but the Yankees, they got off to the hot start. They've lost 5 straight games. The Red Sox off to a difficult start. The Blue Jays are dealing with a ton of injuries themselves. I think all things considered, it's been far from perfect, but I think if you're an Orioles fan, you should get some optimism from the fact that they're doing this shorthanded. They're doing this without their top players playing up to their potential.
They are. It's a much more fun edition of Birdland Territory tonight. Steve Melewski and Tim Barbalace. We are missing our teammate, Brad Brock, and we've loved being with Brad and enjoying his 40th birthday today. Happy birthday to Brad Brock, and we'll see him on the next episode. And Tim, we remind fans, of course, to please subscribe via our YouTube channel. We're on X as well, Birdland Territory, and we're on the podcast. You can hear us, Spotify, Apple, and so forth. So check us out all over the place. Birdland Territory, a news show. This is only our 4th edition, and we're off to a great start, I think. And the Orioles have given us some good stuff to talk about. But now, Tim, the downer part of the show, these injuries that are mounting, this has been ridiculous for the Orioles. It feels like last year. And, Tim, they have 12 on the IL, and as Craig Alvarez said post-game, he told the media, Ryan Mountcastle broke the 4th metacarpal bone in his left foot. That is obviously awful news, which means the 13th will be headed to the IL. That'll lead Major League Baseball. That's crazy that this keeps happening.
It is crazy, and you would have just thought that this team was in for some positive regression coming off last year, where it was just one injury after another after another. But focusing on Adley Rutschman, I really feel for him, and you hope that it's nothing serious. I know Craig Albernaz said that Adley had an MRI for his ankle and said it was encouraging, so you hope that it's the minimum or not that longer with the 10-day IL. But Adley was off to a really strong start, and he reached base safely in 9 of 10 games that he played in. And it's not just the offense, Steve, that everyone's excited about. Defensively as well, I think he's been much better year over year. Defensively, you can see it in the framing. You can see it in the caught stealing above average. The pop time is there. I think Adley is off to such a good start that it's just been a lot of injuries over the past year and a half, and I really hope this doesn't set him back.
So, Tim, there are 6 of the 12 IL players for the Orioles who are bullpen guys.
Yeah.
4 of them who could be in the bullpen right now. 2 we knew weren't going to pitch, but Kittredge, Geraldo, Aiken, Bautista, Selby, Enns, 6 of 12. Also, you have Tyler O'Neill now with a concussion, Rutschman, Holiday, Kerstad, Eflin, Westberg. That's 2 infield starters, your starting catcher, and a couple key bullpen pitchers that are on the IL right now. And as we said, sadly, it seems Mountcastle will be added to the list.
Well, Steve, I think another thing, if you're looking for more encouragement, if you're an Orioles fan, this bullpen has been strong. And you are going to get Andrew Kittredge back not that long. I know he's pitched in 3 or 4 games at the Norfolk level, so maybe within the next week or 2, you end up seeing Kittredge, and boom, there's your setup, man. But you're seeing guys emerge. Grant Wolfram, he's got 10 strikeouts to no walks. Anthony Nunez, again, shows up big in big-time moments. Yanir Cano, he's looking a lot better year over year for this team. Tyler Wells, after scuffling his first couple, he's been able to steady the ship. I think that's another area of this team that you feel pretty good about, considering that the bullpen is far from full strength.
Exactly. Jackson Holiday getting closer. The Orioles have said they're not worried about his stats at Norfolk. They just want him to be healthy, and he's getting closer to rejoining the roster. So some move will be made at some point when they bring him north. But injuries are mounting. But right now, so are victories for the Orioles. And last year, those 2 did not jive together. 1 led to 2. Right now, 1 has happened, but 2 is also happening. Injuries mounting, victories finally starting to mount in Birdland. Steve Melewski and Tim Barbalace missing our teammate Brad Brock. Birthday today. He'll be back with us soon here on the Birdland Territory. Please subscribe and follow us on YouTube and all the outlets. We'll check in on the farm coming up in a moment here on Birdland Territory.
Big Bad Morning Show. Vinny and Haney. Inside Access. Live on YouTube weekdays 6 till 6. Search Baltimore 105.7 The Fan. Subscribe for daily shorts right to your phone and never miss what you missed. 105.7 The Fan.
Well, Steve, you know this Orioles minor league system inside and out, and you were at Chesapeake's opening night recently. I know you're going to Frederick opening night this upcoming week, but let's start with Chesapeake. What were you able to learn, find out? I know that they've had renovations, and Frederick, of course, becoming an Orioles affiliate again.
Tim, you know I love me some minor league baseball. Yeah. I've been covering it for a long time, and I love to get to know the players, before they're major league guys. And I've so many of them over the years. When they walked in that clubhouse, from Gunner and Cowser and many guys on down, I knew them well. And so I love doing that. What's happening on the farm, Tim, is something in infrastructure we should note. And this goes along with the state funds that benefited Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium. It also benefited minor league ballparks in the state of Maryland. In Bowie, where the AA Chesapeake Bay Sox play, they now have a performance center that I have only seen a little bit of, but the players and coaches rave about. It's this huge 2-story building, Tim. Fans that have been going to Bowie over the years, and you've been there a number of times, the clubhouse used to be down right field. That's now the visiting clubhouse. The home clubhouse is in this plush 2-story performance center that took millions of dollars to build and took a year to build. They broke ground last March, and they opened it opening day earlier this week in Bowie. And the players told me, you know what? They told us this might be the best in the minor leagues, and they might be right. They were raving about how incredible it was. Brian Shawcross, the 21-year general manager there, was like a proud papa. And what's good, and Tim, right now in minor league baseball, everybody has the technology, everybody has great coaching, everybody has all the data, but facilities maybe can put you over the top. The Orioles have all this fancy data and technology where they have these batting cages and things they can do with their players that maybe not every organization can do. I don't think it's going to benefit them in the next 2 weeks, maybe the next 2 months, but over the next 2 years, as players come through there and get the benefit of it, it might. And oh, by the way, Tim, they've upgraded Frederick, they've upgraded Delmarva, and even Aberdeen, which is now in the fall league, it's not an affiliate anymore, has had some upgrades. So these state funds have done a lot good, and the Orioles have closely worked with it to make sure they get exactly they want for their players. And Tim, new facility in the Dominican, they've upgraded Sarasota, they've upgraded Camden Yards. The Orioles are really working incredibly hard on infrastructure and facilities to make the best ball players.
It's huge. And this has been a priority since Mike Elias took over as general manager of the Orioles, when his introductory press conference was at the end of 2018, where you're building from the ground up in so many different ways. And Steve, you just think of the lack of involvement in the international market prior to this regime, that the analytics department really didn't exist, the scouting and all of those things that have cropped up since 2019 when Mike Elias took over. This was all part of it because player development is paramount. And that was, such a big pillar for Mike Elias when he took over.
No doubt. And someone in the organization said to me in kind of an off-the-record interview, so I won't throw their name out.
Sure.
Watch what this means for us over the next few years. That's what they said. This is someone who's on the inside, sees the tech, knows what the players have access to. And some of the incredible data and tech they have in Camden Yards, they now have in places like Bowie and some others. And I can't wait to get to Frederick Tuesday, Tim. Frederick's finally back. Through no fault of the fans there, they lost their team. That was about a facility that was kind of dilapidated, let's be honest, and it's been upgraded, and it's now to major league standards where they can bring an affiliate back. And the 2019 was the last time a Frederick Keys team played as an Oriole affiliate. They were still an affiliate in 2020, but the pandemic canceled the season. So that's a long time to not be an affiliate. And the fans of Frederick, Tim, I think are some of the best minor league fans in the country. They, year after year, were a top drawing team in the Carolina League. They love baseball. That community, I've worked there, I've lived there. They love baseball, and they deserve to have a team. And my heart breaks for Aberdeen because I love that place. I live in Harford County. But, I think my heart can break for one and be swelling for the other, which is kind of what's happening here. And so real excited for Frederick. So many players are off to good starts, Tim. I'm writing on my Substack on Monday, and you can find that at steveonbaseball.substack.com on a couple of young international hitters who might be starting to emerge at AA, and Tomas Sosa and Anderson De Los Santos. Plus, they've got Estrada. That's a really good lineup of international talent at AA. But Sosa and De Los Santos, keep your eye on them this year. This could be breakout years for these kids. And the Orioles international program is really starting to hum, Tim. And so it's exciting. It's a good few days in Birdland, Tim. And we know they all won't be like that. So when we get them, we got to take them, right?
Steve, it's amazing the difference a week makes. We debuted this show when the Orioles got swept by the Pirates, and since that point, they won 5 of 6. You're back over 500, and you feel a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, and we're not going to take any credit for that, but it's nice timing on our part to finally have it going well. So glad everybody checked out Birdland Territory today. We're going to get Brad Brock back very soon. And we'll have other shows coming here right around the corner, Tim. So follow us and on YouTube, subscribe, and check out Birdland Territory. Tim, have a great week. We'll catch you in a couple days, and hopefully we'll have a lot more fun stuff to talk about here in Birdland.
Really looking forward to it, Steve.
For Tim Barbalace, I'm Steve Melewski. We'll catch you next time on Birdland Territory.